And there's even like there's an image of Antichrist, which is related to this problem. In scripture, one of the first Antichrists you could say was Judas, who betrayed Christ. Well, there's a story with Judas, which is very fascinating because Christ doesn't talk to Judas very often. But one of the places where Christ talks to Judas is when a woman comes in and wants to anoint and wash Christ's feet with a very expensive perfume. Yep. And then Judas says, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? Why don't we give this to the poor, right? And Christ says, the poor will always be with you, but the bridegroom, Christ, the Messiah, is there for a short time. And
yes, so that's the other kind of story. It's very difficult to understand how anyone could have invented that story. Like, it's not the story of propagandists.
No.
In fact, it's the opposite.
Yeah. But that story has to do with attention. So Christ obviously isn't saying you shouldn't help the poor. Christ has said to help the poor. He said it many times. You have to help the poor, give to the poor, of course. But he's saying get your hierarchy in order.
And you'll help the poor more effectively
That's
that way
right.
than any other. That's the case. That is the case.
So it's like it starts with worship, and the acts that she's doing, if you look at what she's doing, first of all, she bought something expensive. She's sacrificing it. She's sacrificing it to bow down and to wash the feet, to submit, to sacrifice to, and to worship. So those three things, like when I talk about the aim, how you end up having to submit to that aim. And so so Christ is saying, first comes worship, then the world lays itself out below that in an appropriate way. And that's
what the Sermon on the Mount says too.
Yeah. And those that are saying help the poor as their ultimate goal, in scripture it says that Judas didn't even want to help the poor. He wanted to take the money for himself, really. Like, he was a thief, actually, and he was taking the money out of the purse. And so those that just want to reduce...
Well, I suppose the truth of the matter is that the genuineness of your desire to help the poor is precisely proportional to the degree that you embody Christ.
That's right.
And it can't be otherwise. It cannot be otherwise. I see that. I see that clearly, because otherwise things will go astray.
So that's one of the problems with the modern projects of utopia, is that they're Babylesque in their attempts. And you can see like the type of gestures that the world authorities are posing in terms of safety, extreme, like, with COVID and everything, this desire to create absolute safety, this desire to create absolute identification and tracing, and all of these kind of weird gestures that show that they think they can control reality it's leading us towards a very dangerous place.
Well, one of the things I noticed, I did some work on a committee at one point that was advising the UN in relationship to the establishment of its millennial goals, and there was hundreds of goals, not rank ordered. And so it was a Tower of Babel, because you can't have hundreds of goals that aren't rank ordered and have any goals at all. Because to have a goal means a hierarchy. Something has to be more important than something else. And there isn't anything more important than getting your act together, so to speak,
Yeah.
And